Okay. Since Utnapishtim so often interrupts these reading sessions, I figured it was probably well past time that I paid the pet tax and showed you him. He's not much to look at, but here he is. Yes, hello. I have to give him his evening dose of his medication, so I thought I would do that while we wait to see if anybody else wants to join us. A few days ago, I took him for an appointment with a veterinarian, and this was actually a second opinion because the first veterinarian was unable to find anything wrong with him except for everything is wrong with him. You know, possibly a Three Stooges syndrome situation, except that really, yeah, every test comes back negative and we can't actually figure out. There's nothing wrong with this animal except, look at him, everything is wrong with this animal. So I had a discussion with a veterinarian about what exactly are the consequences, the practical and ethical consequences of allowing a 4.5-year-old cavy boar to get addicted to painkillers for the remainder of his lifespan. And I guess we kind of came to the conclusion, not much. The consequences are we have a guinea pig who's addicted to painkillers. And good news, he loves them. So you're going to see that. Yeah. Sorry, I guess I might have to tip this so you can. Yeah. All right, buddy. Yeah. Gonna put your face up by the camera here. And you like your medicine? Yeah, you love your medicine, don't you? Oops. Yeah, right in there. Yeah, good boy. It's all gone, but he's still gonna keep slurping. Okay, I think you got it all. There isn't any more. All right, I will put Uter back and pick up a book. There you go. As a recap from the first installment of Animorphs number 4, The Message. At the beginning, both Cassie and Tobias have been having some trouble sleeping because they've had these recurring dreams that seem to be a distress signal sent from somebody beneath the sea. And, we might have to take Utnapishtim away. Anyway. Go, little buddy. Go. Don't be loud. Good, he's going. Okay. So the working theory is that this form of communication is some sort of andalite distress signal, and the form of communication uses the same technology, I suppose, as the thought speech that they're able to use while morphed. And animal's really annoying. You're so annoying, buddy. Matt is coming to Yeah, we'll put him upstairs. Upstairs in his habitat. You know, we live in a 1-bedroom plus den apartment. We don't have an upstairs, but he does. Yeah, he has a hayloft. There we go.
Hello.
I am sorry this installment is getting off to such a guinea pig start. Let me try this again. Okay. So the working theory at this point is that the distress signal comes as some form of communication similar to the thought speech that the Animorphs are able to use while they're in morph. And they figure because Tobias is permanently in morph and permanently able to send and receive thought speech, he's probably more sensitive to it. And Cassie has also demonstrated some natural talent for morphing, so they're guessing that's why Cassie and Tobias are probably the most sensitive to this. Of course, because the distress signal is coming through via thought speech, that means that Visser 3 is also picking up on it. But they're quite convinced that it is an Andalite sending the distress signal, and that's why it's coming through this way, because this form of communication is meant to be Andalite to Andalite. And of course, the Andalite wants other Andalites to find him, and possibly doesn't know that the Andalites lost the battle in orbit around planet Earth in the first book. A local news segment brought it to their attention that a piece of metal that looked like a fragment from an Andalite ship washed up at a nearby beach. So the Animorphs have gone to investigate. Of course, the controllers have also come to investigate. They encountered a group from the sharing combing the beach, and so have made their escape and fled in the form of trout. Chapter 7. The next couple of days we didn't get together, except for passing each other in the hallways at school. We do have lives beyond being Animorphs, after all. Rachel was busy with her gymnastics class. Plus, she got to go to the ceremony where her mom received some award for being Lawyer of the Year. And since this is Rachel we're talking about, going to an awards dinner meant major shopping for new everything. Jake had totally blown a test because he hadn't studied, so he had to do a paper as makeup work. And I was busy helping my dad out in the barn with the golden eagle who had almost been electrocuted. He was at a difficult stage of his recovery. Tobias dropped by one evening and acted kind of snippy about me trying to save a golden eagle. Golden eagles and hawks don't get along, probably because golden eagles are known to kill and eat hawks if they can. It was a couple of days later that Jake rode his bike over to my house. I didn't expect him, so I was dressed like even more of a slob than usual. Plus, I reeked of various horrible things because I was mucking out the stables and cleaning the bird cages. Typical guy. He had the totally bad timing to show up when I looked like Miss Manure. "Hey, Cassie," he said in his usual casual way, like nothing was going on. "Hi, Jake. Did you come by to help me shovel manure?" He grinned. He has a great smile. It appears kind of slowly, like it doesn't quite belong on his serious face. I don't know, did I? Yes, you did, I told him. I handed him a shovel. If I have to smell, so do you. We worked a little bit, with no sound but the steel shovel blades scraping the concrete. I knew he had something to tell me. I can always tell, but I figured I'd let him get around to it whenever he was ready. "So," he said at last. "So?" I echoed. "Look, I guess everyone is kind of waiting to see what you decide to do." This surprised me. I stopped shoveling. "What? What do you mean?" "I mean, we're waiting to see what you decide to do about this dream of yours." I shrugged. I don't know. Besides, it's not just my dream. Tobias has it too. And all of you guys felt it a little at least. Yeah, but Tobias figures he isn't going to be much help when. I mean, if we decide to do something, we're talking water, and Tobias can't morph. As for the rest of us, I don't know. Rachel and Marco were talking about whether it might have just been something they imagined, because you made it seem so real and all. What do you think, Jake? Jake stopped working and wiped his forehead with the back of his hand. He looked straight into my eyes. Cassie, if you tell me it's real, it's real. I think you and Tobias are right, but Marco's having second thoughts. He raised one eyebrow, as if to say, You know, Marco. I had a queasy, sick feeling. You mean I'm supposed to make some kind of a decision? Like, I'm supposed to say what we do? Cassie, you're the one with the dream. Only you can decide if it's real, and if it's real enough for us to try and do something about it. I don't know if it's real, I said. What was he asking me to do? Every time we had tried to get into it with the Yerks, we had ended up barely escaping with our lives. Just 2 days had passed since I'd heard bullets whizzing past me. Jake waited until I met his gaze again. Cassie, you know we all trust your instincts. You're the best at understanding animals. You're the best morpher. You know everyone in the group respects you. I made a face. Give me a break. If you think we should pursue this, you know Rachel will be right behind you. Me too. And Marco? Jake grinned again. Marco won't be right behind you, but he'll be several feet back. We both laughed. I don't know, Jake. It's a dream. It's like a vision or something. How do I know if it's real? He shook his head. I don't know, Cassie. I guess you just have to take your best shot and hope you're right. I cringed at that. I'm not Rachel. I'm not a risk taker. Can't you decide for me? I asked him, joking. He nodded solemnly. If you want me to, sure. And then if it's a disaster, it will all be on your head, I said. You'll be the one who feels bad. You'll be the one to blame. I reached out and touched his cheek. That's incredibly sweet of you. But you're right. I guess it is my decision this time. I sighed and looked around at the barn. It smelled pretty bad. And sometimes it was a nut house of yammering birds and howling wolves and whinnying horses. All needing care. All needing care and all scared of the care we gave them. But it was the place I felt most at home in all the world. Out through the door of the barn, the fields of corn and open meadows stretched off into the distance until they pressed up against the dark trees of the forest. I know this is crazy, I said, but the ocean scares me a little. I understand the land. I understand soil and the things that grow out of it. I laughed. I guess I'm just an old farm girl. You know, this farm has been in my family since the Civil War. Jake winked. Do I know that? Please. I had Thanksgiving with your family last year, you may remember. Your great-grandmother gave me the complete family history. Going all the way back to when dinosaurs ruled the earth, I said. Grammy does tend to go on about the history, doesn't she? He looked serious again, almost hard. It's your call, Cassie. It will be really dangerous, and we probably won't do much good. I mean, it's a big ocean out there, but it is your decision. Yep, I agreed. I shook my head slowly, sadly. I believe these dreams are real. I believe there is an Andalite out there, somewhere, somehow. He's trapped, calling for help. Good enough, he said. Now, how do we get out there? I frowned, thinking of the possibilities. Some kind of fish. It would have to be something fast, something that isn't prey. You know, not some fish that's just going to get snapped up by a hungry tuna or whatever. Jake nodded. And it has to be something we can acquire, which means probably something at the gardens. They have sea lions and dolphins, but we can't morph them, can we? Why not? I I don't know. It's just that dolphins, they're highly intelligent. It just seemed kind of, I don't know, kind of wrong. Well, you decide, he said, leaning his shovel against a wall. I have to go. I can't blow another test, and I have to study. He climbed back on his bike. You're just saying that to get out of shoveling manure, I said. Cassie, he said, I would rather shovel manure with you than do homework without you any day. I think it was a compliment, sort of. He rode off, leaving me much less at ease than I had been before he'd come. Good question, Matt. What do you think? Pardon me, I'm a little sneezy today. Morally, ethically, how do you feel about the Animorphs morphing people? And how do you feel about dolphin personhood, I guess? Chapter 8. The next day after school, the four of us headed toward the gardens on a city bus. Tobias flew. He said he'd be there before we were, but he wasn't sure how close to us he could actually get. The gardens is this big amusement park that also includes a zoo. Only they don't call it a zoo, they call it a wildlife park. My mom works there. Actually, she's the head of medical services, the head vet. I have a pass to get in any time I want. But the others all have to pay, which is kind of a drag because Marco never has any money. Ever since Marco's mom died, his dad has been kind of messed up. He just takes temporary jobs and they're always broke. I guess I kind of think it's romantic the way Marco's dad has never gotten over his wife dying. But on the other hand, it's like I had to learn when I started helping my dad with the animals. Sometimes death just happens, and all you can do is get over it the best you can. It's tough for Marco because he feels like he has to take care of his dad instead of having his dad to take care of him. On the bus, I glanced over at Marco. He was looking out the window, being kind of quiet. Hey, Marco, I said. What? Is that a new haircut? It looks good. Yeah, he looked surprised. He ran his fingers back through his long brown hair and kind of smiled. I did some homework on the bus. Math, gag, yuck, and mostly listened to my Walkman. When we got there, it turned out there was a special on tickets. Buy two and get a third ticket for $1. Marco had $1, fortunately. So we didn't have to go through any big scenes. We cruised through the area where all the rides were, heading toward the wildlife park. Jake shook his head sadly, looking up at the monster roller coaster. That used to be the coolest thing in the world to me, he said. But ever since I morphed a falcon, it just hasn't seemed like any big deal. I mean, you're going maybe 80 miles per hour on a steel track. When I was a falcon, I did like 200 miles an hour in midair. This morphing stuff does kind of change things, Marco agreed. I used to want to get all pumped up, then I morphed into a gorilla, and it was like, why even bother with lifting weights? I can just become a gorilla and bench press a truck. I don't feel that way, Rachel said. Being a cat made me more interested in gymnastics. I mean, as a cat, I was just so totally in control and graceful. Ever since then, I've been trying to use that feeling. When I'm on the balance beam, I try and remember that cat confidence. Hmm. And then you fall off just the same as always, I teased. Oh, yeah, Rachel said with a laugh. She made little walking fingers in the air that then fell over. Boom! I slip right off, but I feel confident while I'm falling off. We reached the wildlife park entrance. The marine mammals are one of the first exhibits. There's a main building, and then there are several outdoor tanks. Sorry. We went straight for the largest outdoor tank. There were bleachers all around it on 3 sides where people sat for performances. A show had just ended, and hundreds of people were leaving. The next show would be in a couple of hours. Good timing, Jake said. Not too big a crowd. It's a weekday afternoon, I said. It's never all that crowded on school days. We forced our way upstream against the rush of people and reached the side of the tank. It's pretty big, like 4 or 5 swimming pools big. It's very blue, very clean looking. There's a low platform on one side where the trainers stand to communicate with the dolphins. So, what's the difference between porpoises and dolphins? Marco asked. Both just fish, right? Sploosh! The placid surface of the water exploded a few feet from us. Water sprayed across me. Ooh! We all said as one. He flew straight up out of the water, like a sleek, pale gray torpedo. 11 feet long from nose to tail, 400 pounds. He simply flew into the air, seemed to hang there, 10 feet above the surface of the water, took a skeptical look at us, gave us his permanent wise guy grin, and then slid back beneath the surface of the water so smoothly that there was barely a ripple. That is a dolphin, I said to Marco. Okay, I like that. That is excellent, Marco said. Did you see what he did? You know how really great athletes never look like they're even trying? Like Michael Jordan? How everything they do is perfect, and you know they must have practiced for it a million hours, but they always look like, oh, no big deal. Of course I can fly through the air. Nothing to it. That's a dolphin in the water. Effortless. Perfect. Utterly in control. Fish swim through the water. Sharks swim. Tuna swim. Trout swim. Even people swim. Dolphins don't just swim through the water. They own the water. The water is their toy. The water is one big trampoline, and the dolphins bounce around like kids having a good time. Just watching them makes you happy. It also makes you feel like you're just this clunky, awkward wind-up toy, jerky and stumbling and clumsy. Human beings may be the smartest creatures on Earth, but we sure are dorky compared to a lot of other species. Yeah, I think even in comparison with ourselves, we sure are dorky. He's trying to get me to give him some more fish. We all spun around. It was one of the dolphin trainers, a woman named Eileen. Oh, hi, Eileen, I said. She nodded toward the dolphin, who was just exploding out of the water again. This time, he turned a neat little somersault. Joey is the biggest con artist. He's always trying to get extra fish. He's amazing, I said. Yes, he is, Eileen agreed, with a look of pride. I introduced Jake, Marco, and Rachel. We were looking at some dolphin information on the internet, I lied. So we thought we'd come out and see the real thing. Well, as you know, we have 6 dolphins here. Joey, whom you've already met, Ross, Monica, Chandler, Phoebe, and Rachel. Hey, you guys want to feed them a little? Sorry. It's going to take me a minute to process that. Hey, you guys want to feed them a little? You start throwing fish into the water and they'll all come over. It won't upset their schedule? Nah, just don't let Joey get it all. He's kind of pushy and he doesn't share. Eileen left us with a nice big bucket of fish. That is some nasty looking fish, Marco commented. Once you morph into one of these dolphins, you won't think that, Rachel pointed out. Marco gave her a skeptical look. Do you realize that just a couple of days ago we were a fish? Not that much different than these fish? He was right, but it wasn't something I wanted to think about. I have always been very involved with animals, but it is a whole different thing when you can become different animals. I took a fish by the tail and tossed it into the water. Just as Eileen suggested, the rest of the dolphins showed up very quickly. Wow, think these guys like to eat? Rachel asked. The dolphins put on quite a show. They obviously knew how to impress humans. It's just weird the way they grin at you, Marco commented. I mean, it's like they actually think something's funny. And they make eye contact, Jake pointed out. They look right at you, right in the eye. Most animals seem like they're looking past you or just looking at you to see what you are. These guys look at you like maybe they recognize you from somewhere. Jake leaned over the edge of the tank. Pardon me? Jake leaned over the edge of the tank to stroke one of the dolphins. Hi there. Do I know you from somewhere? My name's Jake. The dolphin tossed his head back and forth like he was nodding yes, chattering in his high-pitched dolphin voice. Okay, now that was weird, Rachel said. It was like he was answering Jake. Are you so sure he wasn't? I asked. Dolphins are very intelligent. Not our kind of intelligence, but still, I guess they're one of the 2 or 3 smartest animals around. It will be strange morphing something so intelligent, Rachel said. Yes, I agreed. Strange and wrong somehow. I felt a twisting in my stomach. How is doing this any different than what the Yeerks do? Rachel looked surprised. Yeerks take over humans, she said. Besides, they don't morph, they infest. We don't take over the actual animal. We just copy his DNA pattern, create a totally new animal, and then control the new animal, I said. It's not the same, Rachel insisted, but she looked troubled. It's something I'll have to think about, I said. It's been bothering me. Jake joined Rachel and me. We'd better do it. I nodded. Yes, we should. Before we run out of fish to feed these guys. I leaned over the side of the tank and patted the head of the nearest dolphin. Her skin was rubbery, but not at all slimy, just like a wet rubber ball. She grinned up at me, fixing me with one eye as she cocked her head to see me. I pushed away my doubts, closed my eyes, and concentrated on the dolphin. She became peaceful and calm, as animals always do during the acquiring process. May I? I asked her silently, but of course, she couldn't answer. Sorry. Chapter 9. That night, I dreamed again of the voice under the sea, calling for help. Only this time it sounded faint, like a radio with the batteries growing weak. I wasn't sure if it was just a regular dream this time. A dream of a memory that might or might not have been real. And I dreamed of the dolphin in her tank at the wildlife park, the one they called Monica. Although who knew if she had already had a true name of her own? How long had she been in that tank? How long since she had been free in the open ocean? The next day was Friday. There was no school because of some professional development teacher conference. So we had a 3-day weekend ahead of us. I called Jake. Hi, Jake. Are we going to the beach today like we planned? We were always very careful about anything we said over the telephone. Phone lines can be tapped. Besides, Tom, Jake's brother, could listen in on an extension and overhear something we didn't want him to hear. Actually, I was thinking the beach is going to be really crowded today, Jake said, sounding very casual. I, I was talking to Marco, and he said maybe we should go down to the river instead. It was a good suggestion. We couldn't exactly morph on a beach crowded full of people. I'll be there in 2 hours, okay? I have some chores to do. I ended up being a little late, and they were all waiting for me. It was an area I had been to before with my dad. It's a little park near a bridge, a good place for fishing. About half a mile away, the river empties into the ocean. The river is lined with trees along most of its length. Here and there are homes and private docks, but the spot we'd chosen was hidden from the bridge and from any houses. Hi, Cassie, Jake said, smiling at me. Hi, everyone, I said. I spotted a movement in one of the tree branches. Hey up there, Tobias. How's it going? The same old thing. You know how it is. It's a hawk-eat-mouse world out there. I laughed, pleased to hear that Tobias was learning to be at peace with the fact that, at least for a while, he was as much a hawk as he was a boy. I'm going to be the timekeeper, watching the deadly 2-hour limit, Tobias said. I'm going to be the timekeeper, watching the deadly 2-hour limit, Tobias said. I'm the only bird in the world with his own watch. I looked closer and saw a very small digital timer strapped to one of his legs. Rachel put it on for me, he explained. I'll be over the water the whole time, so I figured it was fairly safe. No bird watchers around to see me and wonder, when did Redtail start wearing Timexes? Jake said, I figured we'd hide our clothes, then wade into the river a little way, then start morphing. Sounds good, Rachel said. Cassie, will you go first? Jake asked. I nodded. Sure. For some reason, everyone has decided that I'm the best morpher. I think it's mostly silly. We can all morph fine. But the first time we morph a new animal, it's always kind of tense. You never know what it's going to be like. You never know how much the animal's instinct and mind will resist you. And this time there was a new fear, at least for me. What sort of mind would I find? Would it be just the dolphin's instincts? Or would I encounter a true dolphin mind with thoughts and ideas of its own? I shed my overalls and kicked off my shoes, leaving just the leotard that I thought of as my morphing outfit. See, it's possible to morph some clothing along with you, but only something skin tight. Anything bulky you try to morph just ends up as rags. And shoes? Forget shoes. We've all tried morphing shoes, and it never works. I stepped into the water. Cold, I reported. The current tugged at my ankles. I waded in a little farther, up to my waist. Then I focused on the dolphin that was now a part of me. Pardon me. The first change was my skin. It lightened from brown to pale gray. It was like rubber, tough but springy. That was good. I wanted to hang on to my legs as long as I could. I wanted to change as many other aspects as I could before I had to drop down into the water. I felt the odd crunching sound you get sometimes when bones are stretched or compressed. And right before my eyes, literally, my face bulged out and out and out still farther. Oh man, that's definitely not attractive, Marco groaned from the shore. Not a good look for you, Cassie. Morphine isn't usually very pretty. In fact, it's kind of the thing that if you didn't know it was going to be all right, would freak you out. I mean, I've watched while Rachel does her elephant morph, and I can tell you it is the creepiest, scariest, most disgusting thing you'll ever want to see. Let alone watching people go from human to fish. Truly gross. I didn't have a mirror, but I could guess how gross I looked. I had this huge, long bottle nose sticking out of my otherwise normal face. My skin was gray rubber, and when I felt behind me with my rapidly shriveling hands, I could feel the triangular blade of a dorsal fin rising out of my spine. My arms were gone, replaced by two flat flippers, and I sorry. My arms were gone, replaced by two flat flippers, and I was now standing about 10 feet tall, wobbling on my puny human-sized legs. It was time to let the rest of the morph proceed. I surrendered my human legs. Instantly, I fell face forward into the water. I looked down and saw my tail. I was complete. The water was too shallow, though, and I was barely afloat. I kicked my tail, scraped across the sandy bottom, and finally surged out into deeper water. I waited for the moment when the dolphin brain would surface, full of instinct-driven need and hunger and fear, the way it had always been before. But it wasn't like that. It wasn't like a squirrel or even a horse. This mind was not filled with fear and need. This mind was, I know this sounds strange, but it was like a little kid. I tried to listen to it, to understand its needs and wants. I tried to listen to it, to understand its needs and wants, to prepare myself for a sudden onslaught of crude, primitive animal demands. Flee, fight, eat. But that didn't happen. I felt hunger, yes, but not the screaming, obsessive need that Jake felt when he morphed a lizard, or when Rachel became a shrew. There was no fear. None. And fortunately, I did not find a true thinking conscious mind either. I breathed a sigh of relief. Just, again, I know it sounds strange, but I just found this feeling like she wanted to play. Like a little kid who wants to play. I wanted to chase fish, catch them, and eat them, but that would be a game. I wanted to race across the surface of the sea, and that would be a game too. Cassie? I heard Tobias's thought speech in my head. Are you okay? Was I okay? I asked myself. Yes, Tobias, I'm happy. I feel I don't know, like I want you to come play with me. Play with you? I don't think so, Cassie. Hawks don't do water. Come on then, everyone, I called to the others. Come on, let's go. Let's swim to the ocean. I want to play. Chapter 10. Let's go. Come on, you guys, let's go. I didn't like the river. I wanted the ocean. I could feel it close by. I could feel... Sorry. I could feel it close by. I could feel it in the way the current rushed me forward. I could feel it in some deep, hidden part of my dolphin being. The ocean. I wanted it. It was my place. It was where I should be. We swam in a school, the four of us, with Tobias flying overhead. We raced against the river's current, and soon I could taste the salt. I could feel the salt water on my skin. And it felt as if I had opened the door of a toy store with every toy on earth, and I had all the time in the world to play. I saw my friends around me, swift, pale shapes in the water, sleek gray torpedoes as they rose to breathe. I lived in both worlds, the sea and the air. I saw the blue-green of the ocean, the pale blue and white of the sky. I slipped back and forth through the bright barrier that separated them. Jake went zipping by. Jake went zipping by, shooting up from beneath me to explode into the air. I heard the slap of his belly as he landed. It was a game. I dove deep. I dove deep, down to where the sandy floor sloped toward depths even I could not explore. Then I powered my tail, steadied my flippers, and drove hard toward the surface. Above me, I could see the shimmering border between water and air. I feel like that counts as a tingle shot. Faster, faster. I was a missile. I shattered the barrier of the sea and hurtled up into the sky. I felt warm wind on my skin instead of cold water. I hung, poised in midair, almost floating above the surface of the water. Now the barrier was beneath me. I pointed my nose back toward it and dropped from the sky. The water wrapped around me, welcoming me back. Is this cool or what? Marco laughed in my head. This is cool, I answered. This is beyond cool, Rachel chimed in. Let's all do it at the same time, Jake said. The four of us dove deep. The ocean floor was still far below us, rippling sand dotted with rocks and clumps of seaweed. Near the ocean floor, we leveled off. Near the ocean floor, we leveled off, practically scraping our bellies along the bottom. And then, aiming at the silver barrier once again, we shot upward, racing each other, ecstatic from the joy of our own body's strength. We launched into the air like a team of well-trained acrobats. Sorry, there's my eyes doing their thing again. We launched into the air like a well-trained team of acrobats. We flew side by side, exhaling and refilling our lungs with warm air. Life was joy. Life was a game. I wanted to dance. I wanted to dance through the sea, and so I did. There was nothing I could not do. There was nothing I could ask of my body that it would not give me. Racing, spinning, turning, diving, skimming the surface, flying up into the sky. I wasn't just in the sea, I was the sea. Are you guys just going to play all day? It was Tobias. You realize you've wasted 45 minutes already. Minutes? I laughed. Who cared about minutes? Look, guys, I know you think the dolphin mind hasn't affected you, but it has. You need to get a grip. You have a reason for being here. Reason? What was that? You're supposed to be looking for something, Tobias said. Something unusual. An Andalite spaceship or something. He was right. He was definitely right. He was definitely right. But would it be fun? Would it be a game? Find the spaceship. Cool, Rachel said. I bet I can find it first. No way, Jake said instantly. I'll find it. Where is it? Let's go look, Marco said. Good grief, Tobias said. You're like a bunch of 5-year-olds. But I was too distracted to care. Hey, can you guys do this? I concentrated, and suddenly, from someplace in my forehead, came a series of loud, very rapid clicks, almost like loud static. Whoa, what was that? Then, to my total surprise, I heard something in those clicks. It was weird. It was kind of like hearing, only not. The clicking noises had hit something, far off in the deeper water. I sort of felt the sounds, so they came back to me, like scattered echoes. There was a universe of information in that echo. Some of that information made me uneasy. You guys, I said, I know this is crazy, but I feel like there's something out there. Something, I don't know, but I don't like it. The others immediately began firing off their own clicking noises. That is, the dolphin's underwater radar. It's called echolocation. Yeah, Marco said. Now I see it. I mean, I don't see it, but you know what I mean. I searched in my dolphin mind, deep down in the places where instinct had sorry. I searched into my dolphin mind, deep down into the places where instinct had been hidden beneath layers of intelligence. Then a picture just popped into my consciousness. I know, I cried, as if I had just won a contest. It's a shark! Suddenly, we weren't playing anymore. The others had all found the same instinct in themselves. The echolocation indicated that there was a large shark nearby, and we knew one thing for sure. We didn't like sharks. Chapter 11. You know, I hate to sound like the only sensible person, so to speak, Tobias said, but you aren't here to fight sharks. He's right, I agreed. Dolphins don't attack sharks unless the sharks attack first. Wait, I'm getting more echoes, Rachel interrupted. There's more than one shark, and there's something bigger, too. I reached out with my echolocation sense and felt the sea ahead of me. You're right, I said. Several sharks, and a great one. A what? Tobias asked. I was confused. What had I just said? And what did I mean? The words great one had just popped into my head. I mean, there's a whale. A whale. Being attacked by sharks. A great one being attacked? Marco asked. He sounded upset. It was strange, because we were all upset. More than we should have been. You guys do what you want, Rachel said. I'm going in. Oh, there's a big surprise, Tobias said with wary affection. The four of us lanced forward, faster than ever, toward the whale in distress. I see them, Tobias reported from the sky above. Straight ahead of you, looks like 4, maybe 5 sharks and a big, really, really big. Did I mention he's big? Whale. Wow, big. We were steaming through the water when I caught sight of my first shark. He was bigger than me, maybe 12 feet long, with faint vertical stripes. He was too excited by the hunt to notice me, until it was too late. With every bit of speed and power I could get from my tail, I rammed the tiger shark in his gill slits. Woof! It was like hitting a brick wall. My beak was strong, but the shark was made of steel or something. I fell back, dazed. But as I tried to collect myself, I saw that a trail of blood was billowing from the shark's gills. I swam beneath him, and then I saw the huge shape of the whale. He was a humpback, more than 40 feet long. Each one of his long, barnacle-encrusted flukes was bigger than me. He was trying to surface, to breathe, but sharks were attacking, tearing at the soft, vulnerable flesh of his mouth. It made me angry, very angry. Suddenly, from the murky depths, Jake and Rachel zoomed upward, like missiles aimed at the sharks. Woomph! Rachel hit her target. Jake's shark twisted just in time. Jake scraped across the shark's sandpaper skin, and before he could get clear, the shark was after him. Jake, he's on your tail! I got him. Look out! Coming up on your left, Marco! They were as fast as we were, and maneuverable as we were. And the sharks had one terrifying advantage. They did not know fear. He's on me! He's on me! Ah! Marco! I can't see. Where is he? Cassie, below you! Look out! Look out! It was no longer a game. It was no longer a game. I had gone rushing into a fight full of confidence and determined to help the whale, but now I was in a war. The sharks were killing machines. They seemed to be nothing but armored skin and razor-sharp fins and wide jaws with row after row of serrated teeth. The water was boiling with twisting, turning, speeding sharks and us dolphins locked in a high-speed battle to the death. It suddenly occurred to me that we might lose. We might be killed. I might be killed. The water was dark with blood, still billowing from the shark I had hammered. Suddenly, two of the sharks turned away. They just turned and swam away. At first, I didn't know why. Then I saw that they were following the shark I had wounded. They were following the trail of blood. They were at the limits of my sight when they struck. They ripped into the injured shark with wild, uncontrolled fury. The last shark turned from the battle and went after them. Robbed of his meal of whale meat, he would feast on his brother instead. Everyone okay? Jake asked. I have some cuts, but I'm okay, I said. Same here, Rachel said. She sounded tired. I guess I did too. I felt exhausted and drained. The fight had probably only lasted 2 minutes from beginning to end, but it had been a long 2 minutes. Marco? I think I'm hurt, he said. I looked for him. He was drifting in the water, almost motionless, 20 yards away. We all swam over, crowding around him. Then I saw the wound. I think I would have screamed, if I could have. His tail had almost been bitten off. It was hanging by a few jagged threads. It was useless. We were miles out in the ocean, and Marco had no hope of swimming back. One more chapter tonight to avoid that cliffhanger. Okay. Chapter 12. He's going to die if we don't do something, Rachel cried. Cassie? Jake asked. What do we do? I don't know. Cassie, you're the closest thing we have to an animal expert, Jake said urgently. But I wasn't feeling at all like an expert. I was feeling like a fool. This was all my fault. It had been my decision to go ahead. I was the one. Marco moaned. Oh man, that's a major ouchie. Ow, ow. What's happening? Tobias called down. Marco sounds hurt. He is, Jake answered tersely. Oh man, I don't want to die as some fish, Marco cried. I don't want to die out here. My mom drowned. I'm going to die just like she did. My dad. Morph, I yelled. I think I know what to do. Morph back to human. If he morphs back to human, he'll just drown, Rachel argued. No. Morphing uses DNA, right? The basic pattern of the animal? If Marco morphs back to human, I don't think the injury will affect him, because it doesn't affect his human DNA. Then, as soon as he can, he morphs back into dolphin. The dolphin body was injured, but the dolphin DNA should be the same as it was the first time. But the dolphin DNA should be the same as it was when we acquired it. He should be a healthy, normal dolphin again. What if you're wrong? Rachel asked bluntly. There's no other choice, Jake said. Marco, you have to morph back to human. We'll keep you from drowning. Jake, buddy, you know I can't swim. I know, Marco, but we'll take care of you. Okay, yeah, okay. My, might as well die in my own body. Uh, maybe, maybe it won't hurt as much. Maybe. He was drifting off. He's losing blood, I said. He may pass out. Marco, morph now. We all formed a circle around him, the three of us. Glad I only promised to do one more chapter because my eyes are really protesting at this point. So thank you so much for bearing with me. We formed a circle around him, the three of us, with Tobias drifting overhead and the big humpback resting alongside. Then Marco began to change. Arms sprouted from his flippers, his face flattened down, with his wide, grinning dolphin mouth shortening to form Marco's own lips. His skin turned pink, and his morphing suit appeared. His shattered, injured tail split into two. Legs formed from the halves. Toes appeared. Human toes. At the end of human legs. He did it! Yeah, I did it! And now I'm drowning! Here, I said, swimming beside him. Grab onto me. He wrapped his arms over my back, and I held him up into the air. Then I noticed something strange. It was like the ocean floor was rising to meet me. No, it was the humpback. He had dived beneath us and was rising slowly, slowly to the surface. Look out! The whale! Rachel yelled. But at that moment, the most incredible part of an incredible day happened. My mind, human, dolphin, both minds. My mind, human, dolphin, both minds, opened up like a flower opening into the sun, and a silent, but somehow huge voice filled my head. It spoke no words, it simply filled every corner of my mind with a simple emotion gratitude. The whale was telling me that it was grateful. We had saved it. Now it would save our schoolmate. Back away, I told Rachel and Jake. It's okay. Yeah, Rachel agreed, sounding amazed. I hear it too, or feel it, or whatever. The humpback rose up beneath a spluttering Marco. The broad, leathery back lifted him up, and when I looked again, I saw Marco sitting nervously on what could have been a small island, high and dry above the choppy waves. Tobias fluttered down and rested beside him. The whale called me to him. Listen, little one, he commanded, in a silent voice that seemed to fill the universe. I listened. I listened to his wordless voice in my head. I felt like it went on forever. Tobias said later that it was only 10 minutes, but during that 10 minutes, I was lost to the world. I was being shown a small part of the whale's thoughts. He had lived for 80 migrations. He had lived for 80 migrations. He had many mates, many mothers who had died in their turn. His children traveled the oceans of the world. He had survived many battles, traveled to the far southern ice and the far northern ice. He remembered the days when men hunted his kind from ships that belched smoke. He remembered the songs of the many fathers who had gone before, as others would remember his song. But in all he had seen, and in all he had known, he had never seen one of the little ones become a human. Marco, I realized. He means Marco. And little ones? Is that what the whales call dolphins? We are not truly Little ones. No, you are something new in the sea, but not the only new things in the sea. I wasn't sure what he was telling me. He spoke only in feelings, in a sort of poetry of emotion without words. Part of it was in song. Part of it I could only sense in the same way I could sense echolocation. Something new? He showed me a picture, a memory. It was a broad, grassy plain with trees and a small stream, and all of it underwater. And across the grass ran an animal that was part deer, part scorpion, part almost human. Where is it? I asked him in a language of squeaks and clicks and mind-to-mind feeling, and he told me. Suddenly, I woke up. That's how it felt, anyway. The whale had released me, and it was like coming out of a dream. Are you okay? Jake asked. You were starting to worry us, but we had this feeling maybe the whale didn't want us to interfere. I'm fine, I said. I'm beyond fine. Marco's ready to try remorphing, Jake reported. Uh-huh, I said, still lost in images from a mind larger and older and so utterly strange. Guys, you have about 25 minutes, Tobias reported, and it's a long way back to shore. I heard Marco say something, but he was speaking normally now, not in thought speak. So it was hard to make it out with my ears under the water. I stuck my head up and saw him beginning to resume his dolphin shape. Halfway through, he slipped off the side of the whale and back into the water. His fins formed, his beak, and his tail, perfect and healthy and undamaged. We headed for shore, tired but alive. I felt strange, leaving the whale, but when we were a mile away, I heard his song, slow, mournful, haunting notes. Why didn't he sing more when we were with him? Jake wondered. I smiled inwardly, and of course, since I was a dolphin at the moment, I smiled outwardly too. He doesn't sing for the little ones, I explained. He sings for the mothers. What? Marco asked. He sings for a mate. Ah, cruising for chicks. Got it. I wonder if the big old guy even realizes that he helped save my life. Marco, that big old guy realizes things you and I will never even be able to guess at. Okay, I think I will call it a night there. And thank you so much for listening. See you next week.